Hello, sweet one on the other side of this screen. It's Jamie Flares here, and I have a lot of musings this morning, as I usually do. I love these nudges from my own being to share some musings, some insights. And today I want to talk about soul purpose and our purpose. We talk a lot about purpose as we are all exploring consciousness at this time. And my intention, I believe this is going to end up being a trilogy of videos because I have more to share than what I would like to pack into one. So I want to just offer some things around my thoughts on purpose and soul purpose. And perhaps these are things that you have thought of or considered or kind of danced with and perhaps not. So first I want to acknowledge the component of purpose that is mysterious and that always will be mysterious. I think our minds want to nail it down and kind of pin it down and solidify it. And my experience of purpose is that there's so much mystery around it, and there's so much to walk with in this lifetime around what we're here for and who we are. It's an ongoing discovery. So I presence the mystery in all of this, and also that I will not attempt to be exhaustive in any way in this video. But I want to talk about purpose because it's in a lot of our hearts, especially as we experience massive shifts and transformations in our personal lives and within the collective. So the first thing I want to say is that I believe it's really important to extract or uncouple purpose, soul purpose, like what we're here for, to decouple that from our job and what we do, what our job description is, what is the work that we do in the world. And it's not that those two things can't be coupled, but what often happens is that we put the cart before the horse. We think that the job, there's kind of like a reverse process that happens where, we use the mind to try to figure out what the job is that will therefore express our purpose, or how it somehow will reveal the purpose. And so I want to just step back from that and offer a few other ways to consider purpose. So I love this idea that the soul knows what matters. The soul knows what matters to us and for us. And the ego, or the conscious mind, knows how to carry that out. So the soul knows what to do, and the ego knows how to do it, how to enact it in the world. So we have to actually go to the soul first, who knows what matters, before we can then enact that in the world. And this is an ongoing journey. It's not a linear journey on our life path. So sometimes we receive a soul image and then we go and act it in the world, and then we refine and we tweak and we gather more information and we expand and we grow. So we can't come into understanding our purpose by way of the mind, by the way of the conscious mind, ego. And there's no bashing of the ego here. It's so important for us. We need it in order to enact our soul purpose, because the soul doesn't actually know how to enact it in the world that the ego and the conscious mind do. So some ways of thinking of purpose that open it up from our job or our identity is our purpose is how we belong to the world. So I love to think of this in ecological terms, where each of us are meant to embody a unique niche in the ecosystem of life on this planet. And that there is this deeper way that we belong to the world that informs how we show up and how we offer our purpose, how we enact our purpose. A lot of what I'm going to share has been, I want to just make a deep bow to my teachers, the Animas Valley Institute and Bill Plotkin's work, because that informs a lot of how I've journeyed through this. But Plotkin talks about the soul as having a mythopoetic identity. And there's lots more I could unpack around that, but it's this idea that it's like our personal mythos. It's an identity that goes beyond the ego. It's something much deeper. It's on the soul level. And I believe that soul images and soul encounters are the ways that the soul speaks to us about our deeper purpose. And then that is what allows us to go out and enact them in the world through the conscious mind. So how do we encounter soul? Again, this will not be exhaustive. There's many, many ways to encounter soul. But I'm going to give a few examples. Again, the ego isn't the guide to soul. It's more, so it's not conscious mind, conscious waking consciousness that lets us that informs our purpose. It's more non-ordinary states. So these can be, these can look like they can happen inside practices like breath work, like dance, like mantra, like sound. There's a lot of containers that can bring us into non-ordinary spaces. Sex can do this when we know how to harness its power in this way. Any other sorts of trances. We can also encounter soul in nature, with Gaia, with Earth, and our relationship with the more than human world. So our relationship with the plants, the animals, and the unseen realms. And oftentimes, encounters with soul in that space are by way of allurement. What are we drawn to? What are we repulsed by? What is speaking to us all around us? We've been kind of enculturated out of our deep connection to the more than human world and how it informs us on a deep level. Dreams can help us access or encounter the soul, particularly recurring dreams or really potent dreams that stay with us. Imaginal journeys are also a really beautiful way to access the soul and begin to touch into soul images. So I use a lot of imagery work and journey work in my soul guidance work with clients because it's one of the richest ways to tap into soul, tap into psyche, tap into the unconscious, to receive the wisdom of the soul so that it can inform what we're here for and who we are. We can go into our story, like the story of our lives, and find those threads that go through all of it. For example, you can look back into the story of your life and notice how certain themes reemerge and recur and come again in new ways. That can help us on the path of soul. We can access the soul through the body, so through movement practices like qigong and dance and intuitive movement and other forms of embodiment, through ceremony. But really, it's through image and metaphor and symbol and story that soul speaks to us. So we can begin to get a glimpse of our soul images as we start to attune to them and see them as they are and what they're for, and begin to actually what happens is they work on us. So we don't really work on them. We don't get the mind in and go, let me just figure out what this means. They actually work on us. So soul images and soul encounters are something that we walk with in our lives. They are like an ever unfolding, mysterious other that we walk with through our lives in order to continue to be on this path of what is the soul speak, and then how do I enact that in the world? And so we come to those places first in order to truly discover purpose. And, I also recognize that we are multidimensional. So our purposes on this planet, there are aspects of our purpose that I don't believe that we'll ever consciously, we may not fully consciously understand, or we may, continue to glimpse images of that. So once we kind of begin to tap into that and get some, let those things begin to work on us, that's the point at which we can begin to bring the ego in and have it help us determine what our delivery system is. Okay, here's the image. Here are the set of images that I work with, that I walk with. Here are the archetypes. Here are the messengers, the messages, the stories. And then the ego has this beautiful job, and there's a bridge that's created here. And then how do we enact that? What is the delivery system of this unique niche, this unique part in the world, the way that we belong to the world? And this may or may not actually end up being your job. So it may be that you go through that and then you enact it in part in your sacred work. but it's also likely woven into everything that you do. So this soul image, this soul purpose, this like collective of images and stories and symbols are often enacted through everything that we do because it is the essence of who we are. So we begin to infuse that into all that we do. So it goes beyond our work as well, even if it's included in our work. And because it's our soul signature, essentially. Okay, that's what I want to share about soul images. I would love to hear how this lands with you. My plan is for the next 2 videos, I would love to come back and share a little bit about how I work with my soul images to kind of give you an example of what this looks like and how it lands. And then the 3rd video I want to do is how do we use astrology from the soul level to also assist us with soul imagery and kind of mysterious others that we can walk with and allow us to be informed and be informed by. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear what this brings for you. And I will be back with more musings on soul purpose. All right. Be well. Bye-bye.